Eamon Khan here for Seconds Out with Queensberry's Ask Ketchum, maybe, Deb Sahni, the voice of Queensberry anyway, Deb Sahni. Deb, how's life?
Busy, but good. Like we're obviously in Saudi next week for the big one. York Hall show beforehand. Looking forward to it. 3 title fights. It is constantly busy. It's constantly carnage, but I'm loving it.
A good card, not bereft of talent at all through the card, starting with the top with Bentley and Dignam. I think Frank mentioned it as one of those, like, if it's for Bentley, you can't really afford to lose this fight. For Dignam as well, off the back of what people most really remember is the Janabek fight as well too. You want to write that and keep his name in people's mouths moving forward with a win over Bentley, which would be a really good win. How do you toss up the fight between the two?
Frank's right in calling it a must-win for Denzel Bentley. Denzel Bentley agrees with that, but he says every fight's a must-win. My last one was a must-win. I didn't win. I've got Danny Dignum. I think people are writing off Danny Dignum and that Janabek performance a little bit too much. I feel like he didn't give us the true reflection of what Danny Dignum is in that fight. And look, he's come in here and he's put a lot of pressure on himself. I know he's saying he hasn't, but he has by saying, if I don't win this fight, I'm going to retire, essentially. These are heavy words to put on yourself heading into a fight like this where you are the underdog against Denzel Bentley. So, yeah, he looks in shape. It looks like he's had a good camp. He said he's had a good camp. He's in a gym with world champions in Sky Nicholson, British, European champions in Sam Noakes, guys like Henry Turner who are pulling up trees in their own weight division. He's in a good place. Has that prepared him adequately enough for Denzel Bentley? We'll find out. But it's a real fascinating fight. And I do think people are writing off Danny Dignam perhaps a bit too soon.
I remember seeing Archie Sharps back in 2019. He had the pink gloves, he had that long mop as well to really set himself apart, and he had that knockout win over Declan Geraghty, which for me put him as top of the pops in that mix of talent at the time that was coming up, but it really stalled for him. Ended up leaving Queensberry and off the broadcast team for BT Sports, but now he's back on TNT. I just wonder what you see for the future, which in a division which has really moved fast forward whilst he's kind of been on the back burner. Do you feel like Archie can get back in that mix with a good win this weekend?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he's 24-0 still. He's still top 5 ranked by the WBO. I know he's quite fixated on those rankings and trying to get his ranking back. He was number 1 for, I said up there, longer than Robbie Williams. Probably got a dated reference, to be fair. You'd probably say Ed Sheeran now. But, look, he's been knocking on the door for a long time. And hopefully now it's time to break it down. I do think he needs to take fights against people that we've heard of. That it's been a while since that. Declan Geraghty, Leon Woodstock, that happened quite a while ago. So I'd love to see him against Ryan Garner. If Ryan Garner comes through against Liam Dillon, what a fight that would be. That's 2 unbeaten British guys. And the winner of that does really stand out and can beat their chest and be a guy that world champions look at and say, like, oh, this looks like a proper fight here. So, yeah, it's good to have him back. I'll tell you what, it's very interesting that he's been training with Roy Jones Jr. for a year as well. It's one of the greatest fighters of all time in Roy Jones. He's deciding to spend his time with Archie Sharps. It's quite an endorsement of Archie Sharps' talent. So clearly he's a guy going places.
You mentioned there about Ryan Garner. Look, Frank has always touted the talent of him. Maybe things outside the ring haven't kind of fallen his way, but do you feel like Ryan Garner can be one of those that gets further opportunities by Frank, who's given him that opportunity back and really kind of trusted him to seize the moment? Yeah,
I think so. I think, look, Ryan Garner's admitted that Frank probably could have given up on him a while ago, but he hasn't. He's kept the faith, and Ryan Garner is now starting to repay that faith. His last few performances have been outstanding. He's looked every part. That kid that turned over with all that kind of fanfare, he's now looking like that guy again. He's changed things outside the ring. He's 26 years old now. He has a family, and that can change you. He seems much more mature. He's staying in the gym, and the performances are telling us all of that. The performance against Liam Dillon will tell us an awful lot, because Liam Dillon is by far the toughest test of Ryan Garner's career. He's a former champion, English level, Southern Area level, British level. He's only lost to Bellotti, so it's a proper fight. If he comes through this in flying colours, well then Ryan Garner just start moving towards being top of the pops, as you said about Archie Sharp a little while ago.
Dated references indeed flying about here pre and during the interview. Let's open the door to next week's action. Huge week in store in the form of Fury versus Usyk. at that more compressed conference, for me, it looked like Fury was very much slimmer, at least in the face, with what we can see. I know there's been a few photos roaming around on the internet, and he looks maybe a bit bigger than perceived, but I don't know if that's part of the mind games. But for me, look, we know what Sugar Hill's MO is. It's to go forward and go for the knockout, but maybe a leaner Fury might point to boxing a little bit more, doing what he did to get into the dance in the first place. Do you feel that we'll see that side of Fury in the fight? Do you feel like Usyk might bring that side out of him? And that might be the way that Fury gets the victory, as opposed to just looking for that one-punch knockout?
I don't think he'll look for a one-punch knockout. I don't think traditionally he's ever really done that. I feel like you've seen the shape of him, the pictures that have gone out this morning. I don't know if you've seen them. He looks in incredible shape. Maybe it's angles, maybe it's lighting, but I saw at least one app just trying to poke through. He looks in great shape, and I think that's probably testament to John Fury being added into camp as well, who won't let him skip any sessions. There'll be no messing about. There'll be no nonsense in that camp. And with him there, Sugar Hill there, everyone singing from the same hymn sheet he was talking about, it looks like we've got a very good Tyson Fury ready for the biggest fight of his life. In terms of how he'll approach it, I can't imagine it'll be that one-punch knockout. I'd imagine that he'll be looking to impose his size. Because when you look at what other heavyweights have done, the only heavyweight that's really imposed their size, their mass on him, has really been Derek Chisora. And he had a bit of success in that fight against him. AJ sort of tried to box with him, got closer in the second fight where he had a very good round 9, I think it was, where he had him all over the place a little bit with a body shot. Daniel Dubois hurt him with a body shot, and some are calling it a low blow, but no one's really leaned on him. No one's sort of made it horrible for him. And I think Tyson Fury can make it very horrible for him. So if you're in the Tyson Fury camp, you're probably looking at just drowning him.
David, as an observer, would you go as far as to say that the body is a weakness for Usyk? A lot of people are kind of pinpointing that as the easiest or best route to victory. I spoke to Sugar Hill and he said, look, we can't focus solely on the body. The knockout will come, or the finish will come how it does come. But do you see that as a weakness?
I don't know. I mean, look, the Daniel Dubois one is the clear, obvious one, right? Where half the world thinks it was a legal shot, half the world think it was a low blow. But let's go with it being a legal shot. Now, if that is the case, then yeah. But Daniel Dubois hits very, very hard. But then you look at the Anthony Joshua one. That was a body shot. And he didn't go down. It was all right. It was just sort of a little bit all over the place. But then you saw rounds 10, 11, 12. He went up to a whole other level. So I don't know. I don't know. It's going to be fascinating to see. I'd imagine Tyson Fury will be targeting all of him, not just the body. But you don't actually just see him just going down from like little tickle body shots or anything like that. Like, it doesn't always happen, does it?
No, we're getting there. Wind up. Just want to sneak in a couple of questions quickly. Joshua has been talked about as a potential for the winner. If it's Fury, as that being the next fight, is that the fight that you want to see for Fury? That all-British clash finally happening between the two?
Well, they got the rematch, haven't they? So yeah, it feels like Tyson Fury's next two fights are Oleksandr Usyk. Beyond that, of course, Anthony Joshua would be an amazing fight. It is the fight that people have been crying out for years and years, and I'd love to see it. But right now, Tyson Fury's got to see if he can beat the guy that beat Joshua a couple of times. Let's see if he can. If not, then it says a lot about Usyk. Usyk's a very clear head and shoulders #1 in the world.
Very last one. Look, I know that you're championing Queensberry to get the 5-0 against Matchroom, but which is the toughest fight laid out between the five?
So I do think Queensberry will win all of them. I think probably Hrgovic against Dubois is the toughest one. I rate Hrgovic. I know there's some performances where he can look a little bit lackluster, but I still think he's one of the best out there. And he's people talk about the Zhang fight that Zhang may have secretly won, but he did take a lot of big shots from Zhilei Zhang, and we've seen recently what big shots from Zhilei Zhang can do to other heavyweights. Joe Joyce, Joe Parker was on the floor as well. Hrgovic was only on the floor once from a sort of glancing shot around the top of the head. So he's shown me that durability and the tank. So I feel like he's probably the toughest one. Daniel's shown a lot in his last fight as well against Big Baby Miller. He had to come through a lot, and it feels like a kind of, if we're going back to Pokemon references. He kind of evolved into a new character during that fight in front of us. So I feel like that's the toughest one, but I still think Daniel can get it done.
Apparently he might be in line for a Joshua fight if he wins.
Be great, wouldn't it? Be absolutely great. That's a battle of Britain between two fellas that will punch holes in each other. I'd love to see it.
Great conversation, Dev Sahni. Thanks for your seconds out.